Hey there, and welcome to today's daily premium newsletter for May 10th. So in a largely technical move, we saw the market make a 3% nosedive over the course of an hour. Simply, right now there's just too much sell pressure. Bitcoin futures are likely adding to that pressure. There needs to be more buy volume for altcoins, but the market has clearly lost the bullish confidence we saw through much of April. Thankfully, even if the market doesn't reflect it, we can still see some light on the horizon. We're especially excited for Coinbase to lead the industry into further mainstream adoption through its new custodial services solution. In a recently released letter, they highlighted how they've worked hard to achieve greater efficiencies. According to their CTO, these efforts and others have resulted in a 1,000% increase in transaction capacity relative to Q3 of 2017, and he expects this to double in the coming months. This, in combination with hundreds of new hires, points towards a new and very interesting upcoming announcement: mainstream custodial services managed by Coinbase. They've already announced their custody program some time ago. While that's not exactly new, what we suspect will happen is that credit unions and banks will now be able to offer the Coinbase Index Fund to their customers. The Index Fund, which tracks the 4 coins that trade on Coinbase, has normally only been available to US accredited investors. However, through this custody program, we suspect that average investors can invest into it through their bank. This is a big step forward for the industry, as many retail traders and people who do not actively invest are not interested in owning crypto assets. Keeping track of coins simply does not appeal to those who have a hard enough time with technology in general. Furthermore, the average person just does not invest in individual stocks. Funds are popular simply because they diversify risk. With the space as volatile and as risky as crypto, diversifying risk is absolutely desirable. So with this new Coinbase program, people will be able to invest in cryptocurrency without having to own or manage the underlying assets, which is unquestionably a step in the right direction. After all, most people would rather invest in a gold ETF or gold stock instead of actually buying the physical precious metal, although some people certainly do that. While Coinbase recently valued itself at $8 billion, up from a $1.6 billion valuation it last reported, it's quickly starting to see some new competition. Stock trading app Robinhood is now valued at $5.6 billion after its large funding round. The startup announced that it had raised $363 million in Series D funding. And Robinhood and Coinbase aren't the only two players gunning for this lucrative retail market. Fintech startups Square and Circle Invest each hope to capture this market demographic as well. It'll be great to see how competition in the space benefits us as the end users. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq chief executive, Adena Friedman, continued her praise of cryptocurrency. She stated that cryptocurrency is the next step in the space of currency, but cautioned that the jury's still out on which one will actually see mass adoption. This comes right after last week when the Nasdaq, the world's second largest stock exchange with a market cap of $9 trillion, openly stated that they consider becoming a cryptocurrency exchange. In a similar tone, Michael Novogratz of Galaxy Digital spoke to a crowd of 700, saying that this has been the people's revolution. Novogratz announced yesterday the deal between Galaxy Digital and Bloomberg to create the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index, which tracks the most liquid assets trading on blockchains. Meanwhile, in China, Li Ming, who is the director of the Blockchain Research Office at the Standard Institute, stated that they will seek to release nationwide blockchain standards by the end of 2019. Beijing does not expect the new legislation to quickly advance the development of the blockchain industry in China, but it will give the industry some guidance. So this is what I've been saying would happen regarding China and blockchain all along. China is going to do it how China wants to, just like the internet. They're not going to let foreign-based cryptocurrencies like Ethereum come in and disrupt the order they intend to keep. They're going to promote homegrown solutions like Neo, Walton Chain, and VeChain. They're going to have an emphasis on digital identity because of the concerns over illicit activities and capital flight from the country. Time will tell if they can truly maintain the status quo they're trying for, but China will likely become one of the biggest players in the blockchain space, and how the Chinese government moves forward will be extremely important for the space. Overall, this has been a rather lackluster week for the markets after a few fun weeks, but hopefully it's clear that the good news for crypto hasn't stopped, and we're anticipating more is to come. Hang in there as brighter days are ahead. So with that, I'll turn it over to Doc. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you this weekend.
Good evening, it's Doc for ReadySetCrypto looking at Bitcoin here. Pretty much the same thing I've been talking about now for about a week. We're in a consolidation pattern. Lot of energy here at the daily chart. This energy could go in one of two directions. It's not necessarily a bad thing if this pulls back at this point right now. We've had a strong move coming off the 6,600 level all the way up to 10,000. That's a pretty significant move. And a little bit of a rest is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, what this is telling me is that it actually has done the rest but it still could break one way or another. Now, if we go back out to the weekly chart, we can see again, this has been a nice big weekly swing. This is the first week so far where we've seen any kind of softness in this rally off of here. So this is warranted for it to take a rest, but again, no shortage of energy. So we should see a fairly big move pretty soon, one way or the other. So what's happening across the crypto universe? We'll go down to the screener here in TradingView, and what I'll do is I'll simply select this and look at who's the biggest movers of the day. We have a couple of small coins that are here, like Ruby coin, you can see has gone through a big move, and we have Steamer, things like that has gone, but really, quite honestly, not much is moving today. Not much is moving today. So really not much worth chasing after. Not like yesterday. Yesterday we had some pretty big movers. Right, like Zilliqa. Zilliqa was yesterday's home run, but of course today, just a big high wave candle, almost a doji here. Very little room, a lot of volume. People chasing after this. FOMO, people selling into it. This is what you don't want to jump after. Wait for the pullback on something like this. So we're also waiting for a pullback on Ontology. Ontology is doing a nice job of consolidating the recent gains. Once it builds up a little bit more energy, we'll get serious about perhaps taking another entry at this one. This is one I'm pretty interested in right now. This is Binance coin, believe it or not. So a real utilitarian coin. Not all that exciting, but it certainly is holding value well, consolidating within this triangle pattern here, and you can see that building up energy at the weekly chart. So right now, kind of working off this move, building up energy, staying within there, and I would be interested in setting up something for this one if it started to break out above here. So what I can do to myself is I can look for adding an alert, which I passed it. It's all the way up at the top here. So I'm going to add an alert for BNB BTC, which is crossing this value. I'm going to alert myself only once. We'll give it about a month or so. We can show a pop-up, play the sound, and send ourselves an email. So there's how to set up an alert. So it's kind of like a simple screener. Now you can do the same thing on screeners. You can, whatever you're screening for, you can go up here. And so for instance, I can set up something for like a screen based on the ADX. So once a coin or currency pair hits a certain value on the ADX, it's going to send me an email. And there's lots of other different ways to look for different currency pairs that are moving. I'll be spending more time looking at this in the near future, see if I can kind of get my grips around this one, because right now it's producing more signals than I can workably deal with. All right, folks, that is it for tonight's report. Thanks for listening. We'll see you over the weekend in the Weekend Report. Take care.